Hello. This is a little tutorial about how I built my chicken house. When I got started, I really didn't have any plans. I knew two basic things. I wanted it 24 inches off the ground, and I wanted 4 foot of storage space. So I made it 8 by 12, because I knew if the chicken house was 8 by 8, that should handle somewhere in the neighborhood of 20 chickens without any problem. So I dug my holes, cemented me some 4x4s in the ground, come up 24 inches, took my 2x4s and made the floor and made everything level, chopped everything off so everything would be nice and level and I could get a floor in there. Sorry, I'm going to have to skip forward a little bit. I didn't take pictures of everything as it went because I was working quite a bit, plus I was doing this by myself. But anyway, made the back wall 6 foot high, front wall 7 foot high, and side wall 6 foot high. After I got all the outside plywood up, I installed 4 windows, 2 in the front and 2 in the rear. Now these are utility building windows that I got off of eBay, but they work pretty good. They're made so that you can just cut a hole and stick them in there and bolt them in, but I didn't like that idea. So I measured them and I fixed my 2x4s so they would go in the wall like a regular window. And so after I got my plywood on the outside, then I drilled me a hole in each corner, went to the outside, took my jigsaw and cut holes out and stuck the windows in there and bolted them in. Now on the north end, I put 2 large clean-out doors. And if you'll notice, I did not put any way to get in from the outside. You'll see how I got it fixed when I get to the inside, but I wanted to make sure this thing was predator-proof, so there's no way to get in those 2 large clean-out doors from the outside. I also took hardware cloth and put them over all 4 of my windows, even the ones on the inside of the pen. We live in Alabama, got lots of predators here, so I wanted to make sure that this chicken house is predator proof. Now on the south side, I made a personnel door so that I could walk into my storage area, my 4 foot storage area on the inside. Now also, I did not want to use any rubber or anything like that, so I rednecked it, you might say. In other words, this is an outside door. My floor is actually 4 inches above the bottom of the door, but this door is on the outside of the chicken house, and I made it out of plywood and 1x4s. And then I took RTV and sealed up all the outside so water couldn't stand in there. And then I installed it and painted it. Now on all of the windows, after I got the hardware cloth over them, then I took 1x4s and I made a frame around them and screwed them in. So there's actually 2 or 3 inches of hardware cloth underneath the frame going around the windows. I had to make sure that no raccoon could get in there, which that's probably the smartest predator that I'll have after my chickens. But I had to make sure that no predators could get in there. I also put 1x4s on my clean-out doors in the cracks above and down through the door. It serves 2 purposes. It'll make it look better once I get it painted, and it'll keep the wind out in the wintertime and keep them from getting a breeze in there. Now I also used 1x4s on the corners of the chicken house and covered all that up and screwed it all together. That will prevent determined predators from trying to pull the plywood back so that they can get into the chicken house. Now I'm talking about big predators, like coyotes, black bears, that type of stuff. Now, there is no nails in this chicken house. Everything in this chicken house is screwed together. I wanted to make sure nothing would come apart. Now the trim around the windows, I also took all the way up to the windows so a predator couldn't get their claws in between the window and the window frame and try to break that hardware cloth. It would be tough, but a very big predator could do that. Now, I also installed an automatic door in the chicken house. Lord, I didn't want to spend that much money, but on Saturdays and Sundays, I also didn't want to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning, go open the door and let them out. So I broke down and bought the automatic door, and I've got a timer on it so that it'll open and it'll close when I want it to. Now, at this point, we already had one small rain, and I needed to get some paint on it before it come a big flood and rain for 2 or 3 days. So I stopped building and I start painting. First of all, I painted the red. I didn't paint the trim because the trim I'm going to paint white. The red was time consuming because I painted everything except the trim red, including the 2x4s that for the top that's holding the tin up. You look on the ends there, you'll see that I painted both sides of that as well. So it was kind of time consuming. Now, I also decided to go ahead and paint the door to come in and out red. I already knew that I was going to put a lean-to up to protect the door from weather, as well as have me a place to hang food on the outside. But you can't ever tell with blowing rain. I didn't want to just leave the door plywood. I wanted it painted, so I did. And then I painted the trim. I painted all the white. All the boards around the windows, the personnel door, everything. I also ran me a 1x4 above the 2 clean out doors to cover the crack up where the 2 pieces of plywood meet. And then of course I painted all the trim white. Now to the inside. You know, I told you that you could only open those 2 cleanup doors from the inside. If you look, you'll see why. Because I got a 2x4 closing them both off. Now that thing you see on the left, that's wire, that's hardware cloth that I just got stuck in there. It don't mean nothing, I was just storing it. Okay, if you have a look here, you can see the automatic door. It was real easy to install. I got it before I even started on the chicken house, so when I built that wall, I measured it and I built it the right side so it just slipped right in there. Then he had a template that come with it, cardboard. All he did is stick it in there and draw you a line there, drill me 4 holes, go to the outside, take my saw, cut it out, stick it up there, bolt it in, and there was a little decoration thing I had to put on the outside, but it was real easy to install, no problem, but it was very expensive. Now if you look through that left window, you can tell that I already started on the lean-to on the outside, but I'm not done with it. The reason I stopped was because it set into raining. It rained 3 or 4 days in a row. And, I mean, it wasn't raining real hard every day, but it was raining enough so you couldn't get outside and work. So I decided it was time I could use this time to put my electric in. And so, as you can see right there is the socket that I hooked my automatic doors up to. Now I also put an electric socket on the other side, the opposite side of the building. That'd be the west side, in case I needed that for something. Now my wire comes in from the south side, and I've got a kill switch that goes to these 2 electric switches to kill it. And the reason for that is I've heard horror stories about roosters going crazy and flying up and breaking light bulbs and burning chicken houses down. So if I've got a bunch of young roosters in there, I can solve that by just killing the power. Now this is my nesting boxes. I built 6. Made them 12 by 15, I believe it is. But anyway, they're 12 inches wide. I think it's 15 inches deep. But I did some unique things to them, which we'll get to when we get to the outside, or at least I think they're unique. But I was real proud of how they turned out. This is just a picture of the electrical socket on the east side where my automatic door is at. And as you can see there, I've got a timer, and I've got the door hooked up. It opens and closes on its own every day. As you can see there on the right side, this is my white light where I can see what I'm doing at night out there. But I put a regular light fixture in there with glass covering the bulb up, and that's to further protect from roosters that gets rowdy. And I also have a red bulb there, which I may use later on to help out the laying, but it will just plug into the other socket should I choose to use that. Now for my storage area. I came out 4 foot and made a wall across with a door so that I can go in and out from the storage area. And of course I got wire on it so the chickens can't get into the storage area. And as you can see, I've got my feed can sitting over there in it. Now first of all, took my incubator and my turning plate and brought them out there and just set them in the floor in the storage area. But I didn't like that idea. They cost too much money. So I went ahead and made them bins there on the wall. And so now and then I just slide them. I just put them back in the box and just slide them down in their bins. And that way they won't get tore up. Nothing can mess with them. Now also I've got bedding in there. I've got a net so I can catch the chickens if I need to. I've got a brooder box. The blue one there is a brooder box. I also have an orange brooder box, but it's not in there right now. It's actually in the house with baby chickens in it. So it didn't take me long to figure out that this is 4 feet is not going to be enough storage space. Now I also built me a shelf, and then I turned it upside down and screwed it to the 2x4 so that I would have a lip and stuff wouldn't fall out. And that's for my small stuff like the diatomaceous earth, oyster shells, that type stuff, light bulbs. But that worked out pretty good. The rain finally stopped, and so I was able to go back to installing my lean-to. Now my original plan was to make the lean-to 8x8, and so I went ahead and did that. I think I used like 5 pieces of tin on it, 8 foot long. But again, like I was saying before, I'm going to have some more storage space somewhere, so this is where I'm going to have to get it from. This picture is actually a little bit later on, but as you can see, I did complete my 8x8 lean-to before I figured out where I was going to get my extra storage space from. So what I decided to do was to extend that lean-to the whole length of the chicken house, so it's now 12 foot by 8 foot. That way I can use that extra 4 foot on the outside for storage, which I'm building me a place there for my food and stuff. Now all the wood that you see on the ground, all of that is treated wood. The bottom plywood is treated. Make sure that it'll last and termites won't eat it up, maybe. Now I also took plywood and put it to back of it where the food's going to be so that rain couldn't come in and get on my food cans and on my stuff I got stored. Now I knew that the top part there was going to be above the top wire of the chicken pen, and so I used treated wood there as well because I knew I couldn't paint it. But a piece of plywood connecting it from there to the floor, that's just standard plywood, and I'll paint that on the back side so that water can't damage it. So I took my 2 food cans, my scratch feed and my laying pellets, brought them to the outside, and that's what I made that for. so that I could bring them to the outside and have more room inside for other type storage material. Now I've got a little small red pen, which you'll see when I get to the run. But I'd intended to use that to put my roosters in, but then I got to thinking I may need that for babies. I don't want to tie it up with roosters. So what I did right here at the end, I brought it out and made me a little compartment there, which wraps all the way back to the personnel door, so it goes all the way down the side there to where I can put the roosters. And in this picture right here, I actually have 7 roosters in there. Now on the inside, I had made a place 12 inches high and 6 foot long for my nesting boxes, but at this point, I hadn't actually built them. And but I had to get the chickens out of the house, so I put them inside this chicken house in an outside brooder. But I knew that'd only be there 4 weeks, so I had to get the nesting boxes done before I let them out into the chicken house itself. So I think they had been there like 2 weeks when I started working on the nesting boxes, but I went ahead and got that done before that they was old enough to come out of the brooder, the outside brooder. Now what I did, I made 6 boxes, and I made 2 doors, one to cover every 3 boxes, and I made some little things on the outside to hang the doors so that I could hang them up while I'm getting eggs, and I won't have to have it on my head or something of that nature. Now these boxes do go to the outside, to the yard, not to the pen itself. So I got to thinking, well, now what if I got a hen that's on the nest when I open the door and it scares her and she comes out into the yard, then I've got to run her down. So I had to come up with something to prevent that from happening. So I cut me some plexiglass to cover the holes up. Then I got to thinking, well, now how am I going to attach the plexiglass without breaking it? Of course, I build computers also, and the way I soup up a video card is I piggyback a chip, and I use hot glue to do that with. So I just took hinges, laid them on the plexiglass. I hot glued them to it, and then I took them and installed them, screwed the hinges to the wood, and installed them. And that only left one problem. I needed a knob or something to open them with, and I didn't want to spend no more money than I had to. So I looked around for something that I had that I could use, and I had some hex head 1/4 inch bolts, 1 inch long. So I put them in the center, I hot glued them to the glass, and it working out real good. Because if a chicken tries to escape, it can't, because it can't get through plexiglass. But yet I can see in and see if I've got eggs in there. Another picture of me lifted the plexiglass up to get to the nest. Now that egg you see is a wooden egg that I just laid in there. If you look just above that, you can tell that I have got it cut out from the inside, but I've got plywood over the nesting boxes because the girls are not big enough to lay yet, and I don't want them to get in there and mess up the nesting boxes before it's time. Now on the outside of the door, I did put hasps and hooks so a smart raccoon couldn't figure out how to get in there, but that'll keep them secure from any predator. I also put a handle so that I could easily pick the door up myself and hook it up. It's a picture of the box is from the north side of the chicken house. Those little ropes I've got attached to the rafters. They come down and attach to a hook there, and I hook them on the handle to hold those doors open while I'm getting the eggs. That's a picture from the south side of the chicken house. Now the hooks I got to go into the hasp and lock them. I've also got strings on them, or ropes, really small rope, and attached to the egg box. So when I take them loose, all I got to do is drop them, and I get done. I can just reach and get the string and pick them up. They're not going anywhere. Then the final thing I did was to build the steps at the personnel door going into the storage area. Good Lord mercy, that's the first time I ever did that. I am definitely not an expert at angles. They look pretty good, to tell you the truth about it, but I really just kind of got lucky. Because, like I say, I'm definitely not an expert at this crap. Now, I also built that basket that you see sitting by the steps. It's made out of hardware cloth, but it's a friend of mine gave me some really heavy-duty hardware cloth. And it's really too thick to use around off windows and stuff like that. I mean, it was a waste if I'd used it there. So I used it to make a basket to transport chickens from my house to Tracy's house, or to the sale, wherever I needed it to take them. But it turned out real well. I don't believe it'll ever go anywhere. It is definitely a good one. Of course, I cut my arms and fingers and stuff up getting it done, but it turned out pretty good. Thanks for watching.